This is the Active Life Podcast. Welcome back to the show. I'm Larry.
I'm Cody.
Let's face it, you do want to get into this for the money. And money's important for you to have because as far as we all know, we're going to live in a money society for a while, unless you're going to go barter wampum and other shells and stuff somewhere. We're going to need money for a while. So we want to make sure that we can make plenty of money doing great work that's super valuable to people. And we want to make sure that we understand the principles that are going to allow us to have the kind of conversation and present so honestly and clearly that people see why it's a great idea to give you that money. And very often, we have certain beliefs and behaviors that are horrible for making money. We're going to review those today.
Love that. The first one, we're going to dive right into it.
Yeah.
The first one is that money is a finite resource.
This is, I'll be fully transparent. This is going to be over some people's heads. It took me a while to wrap my head around it, and it's going to hit some people like a ton of bricks. And it's one that I really think is worth reflecting on. The government prints money. The money in the world is not backed to gold. They're numbers that are on a ledger somewhere that we're creating out of thin air. That's true.
I think we're in an interesting time of life now because we're also seeing this with things like cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Like they're just being created.
But sure, but forget that. Like, people are terrified about the idea of, I don't have money and I don't want to be in debt. Well, why the hell not? The greatest things ever are created using money for the most part that the creators didn't have. So the principle here is that there's a finite amount of money. And if I take money from someone, it's a zero-sum game. I'm having money at their expense, and that's the end of it. It's either I have or someone else has. And people who would declare themselves as empathetic feel bad about that.
I can see that.
Well, it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Because
I agree with that.
there are people that are making money from money that they never had, that they got from someone else to start building a money machine that now makes them all the money to pay the thing back that they used to build the money machine and then some. It happens all the time.
So money is a finite resource. That's one of the first beliefs and behaviors
Of a terrible salesperson, that money is a finite resource and that I shouldn't take this person's money because I feel bad that I'm taking this from them because now they don't have. I have at their expense.
It's the wrong way to think about it.
It's untrue.
Okay. Anything else on the finite?
No.
Okay. Number two, you being the person who is offering the sale, the salesperson, don't believe in the four pillars that you need to have certainty in, that you want the client.
Yeah, the bottom line, this means is that you don't believe in what you're selling and how it's going to go for them. If you don't believe that the product or the service is killer and will do for them what it's designed to do for them if they do it, you have no business selling it. You either need to change the product or you need to change what you understand about the product. If you don't have a body of evidence, well, you need to start collecting a body of evidence. If there is a body of evidence, then you need to get privy to it. Because you need to believe that the thing's going to work in order for you to help someone else believe that it will. If you don't believe that they're capable of doing what's going to be required of them to make good use of the service, well, then you have a problem and you're dead in the water here. So you need to work through them. You need to work them through with yourself. What would be required of them to do this and get yourself to a position where you can either decide, I believe that they can or that they will, that it's worth the shot or not.
You also need to believe in the business that you
If
are
you
representing.
if you work or represent a business, then yes.
Well, if you are just you, the trainer, the coach, that is your business.
Correct.
You're representing that. And you also need to believe in yourself.
If you're the trainer or the coach with your own business, those two things are the same.
Yeah. If you're the one selling on behalf of, you need to believe that the team that you are selling for has the capacity to help this individual solve the problem.
That's exactly right. So I would audit if you are selling something that someone else or someone else will partially service. It's worth you auditing. Do I believe that when I hand this customer off to this team, that this team is going to knock it out of the park for them? If it's not an unequivocal yes, you're going to have a very hard time selling.
Okay, we can do this on a different episode. It's going to be worth it to figure out how we would move forward with
Sure.
something like that. The next thing that comes up is you, the salesperson, you don't believe in the cost value discrepancy.
Yeah.
Unpack that for me.
Almost all of the time, if not all of the time. Price has nothing to do with why people are not buying. What they perceive they're getting for the price is why they're not buying.
But that's the first one that people will throw up most often.
Of course. Which is typically a smokescreen for, I am not at all convinced in the value of what I'm going to be getting for this, so that seems like a lot. Here's a quick example. If I don't particularly value cars, I'm not a car guy, but if there was a Ferrari that someone was offering me for $250, the first question I'm asking is, what's wrong with it? If someone's, I have no plans to spend $250 today. I know what I need to do today. Maybe I'm going to spend another $6 at the grocery store later. But if someone told me I'm going to give you a mint Ferrari for $250, I'm asking, how do you want to get paid? I'll pay you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can spend $250 and I'll have a Ferrari now? Definitely.
Yeah.
How do you want to get paid? $300,000, which is what a Ferrari costs. If you're looking at the higher end ones, 0% interested. The value of what I would get from the Ferrari is not at all worth me spending $300,000 right now. Who knows? That might change one day. Every single day, people that don't have a few $100,000 take out a mortgage for a $300,000 house that they didn't have the money to afford. So they borrowed it, and they're going to end up spending about $600,000 on that house because the bank's going to charge you more in interest than the house costs. If you guys have never looked on the math on that, it's insane.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend $600,000 that you don't have today. Why? Because you don't want to live in a cardboard box. And you've decided that having a house that someone else owns that you're going to pay out of your backside for is worth having. So what this means for the salesperson is that they don't believe the money that they're asking for is worth what the customer is going to get.
Wow.
Or they still are convinced that the customer does not believe that. And if the customer truly doesn't, then you need to work through, well, let's make a reasonable decision here. Like, let's be completely clear on what you are going to get. Is that worth this cost to you or not? But we can't project that.
Right. We have to ask.
Yeah, you have to ask.
So we need to shore up the cost value discrepancy there.
We hear this all the time when students come to us and say a big part of the reason that I want you guys to help us is because I want to feel better about what I can charge. I've heard what your pricing formula is. I've looked at my area. I don't feel like I'm worth that right now.
Yeah, it's hard for you to raise your price if you don't feel like you're worth it.
Correct.
Okay. Next one. You, the salesperson, prioritize your needs over the needs of the prospect.
Yeah. A terrible salesperson believes I should be out here to get mine, and it doesn't matter what happens for the customer. This is the crux of what we would call an unethical sale. Irrespective of how this goes for the customer, I need to figure out what I need to do or say to get this person to buy. That is an unethical sale.
Yeah, to me, that's going into every discovery call and every consultation that you book after that with the sole intention of closing that.
Correct.
Regardless of whether they're the right fit, whether you're the right fit, all of the other things.
That's right. Quotas are what you're focused on, not what the customer needs.
How does that differ from the next one, which is commission breath?
I don't know that it differs that much other than the fact that you could be focused on needs outside just the money that you are making, whereas commission breath is entirely, I want to make $20,000 this month. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to tell this person to buy this as soon as possible and then push them to do it, irrespective of how this seems to them.
I had a conversation with somebody else who does sales for a facility, and he was walking me through some of the tactics that he would use, and it speaks to me in this one.
That word in and of itself reveals so much.
Yeah.
Tactics.
Yeah. Like you'd get a guy into the room, and then it would be, you don't strike me as the type of guy who would struggle with money. Like that's a tactic. And that just to get them to pay the front end offer.
Sure.
Right?
Well, they don't want to identify like that.
That feels just yucky.
Well, it's manipulative in a malevolent way, in my opinion. Certainly not a mutually beneficial one.
So there is a difference between that commission breath and doing something that is right for them.
Yeah. And even if those two are, that's part A and part B, then whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's a desperation that, and we've talked about this before. I've talked about this on the client experience lab that I lead. You can just feel it when the person who's trying to sell you the thing is desperate for that sale.
Humans have, as many animals do, an extraordinary sense for people's intention. Intent is something that we have a sixth sense for. And this is the reason why there is security camera footage of off-duty police officers who are standing in line at a convenience store who tackle a person who was about to pull out a gun and rob the place. And you look at the footage and you're like, that happened so far ahead of time. How did you know? And they're like, listen, I got 1,000 reps of seeing what that looks like. And we have it's the reason why sometimes there's someone that's walking down the block towards you and you don't know why, but something says cross the street. We have a really, really sharp sense for that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Dr. Sean here reminding you that if you are a coach who wants to fill the gap neglected by fitness and healthcare, and you want to make a career doing it, we might be able to help you. Head to the show notes. There's a link there. You're going to click that link to download the ALP curriculum. That's the stuff that we teach to coaches over the course of 13 months to turn them into world-class professionals who never have to worry about missing a paycheck again, doing work they love to do. Go ahead and check that out, and I'll see you on the other side. Let's get you back to the show.
Anybody who's ever purchased anything, especially when you have to do it through another person, you can tell when they are, just as a consumer, when their sole intention is to get you to buy.
Yep.
Whatever the thing is.
Yep.
Okay. Next one I'm really fascinated by. Poor people are poor because of external circumstances. This is a belief that terrible salespeople hold.
I agree. I used to hold it.
Say more.
Well, this is tough. I used to believe that poor people are poor because of something that is being done to them or something that was done to them. And it was that this is unfair. And there's a rabbit hole of, economic systems that I don't want to go down right now because I don't understand them well enough to have a comprehensive conversation on it. But suffice it to say that I know enough people who went from not having to having, including myself, to be convinced at this point that poor people are not poor because someone else is keeping that way. Certainly not if they're currently able to improve their situation by 1%. If you're able to improve your situation by 1%, even if the percentage never changes, if you compound what you're capable of doing every day, you're going to be in a better situation in a year.
How would this one manifest in a salesperson? Would they just not have the call?
They would either not have the call or they would feel too bad to lead the person through ways of spending either the last money that they had or finding money that they don't have to do something, even if in their heart of hearts they believed it would benefit them, especially from a financial perspective.
Okay.
I used to think that this person's conditions are the way they are because of this, that, or the other thing, and who am I to suggest that this person that's barely able to afford XYZ should pay this kind of money for this? I have since completely jettisoned that belief.
Because of what you know that they'll get on the other side of that?
That's exactly correct. And that ties into the belief around money is finite. I have seen plenty of our students who had no money take out a loan with money they didn't have to do this and are now in a position where they are out earning historically all members of their family.
That's cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool. So who would I have been and what would I have done for them to write them off as a prospective successful student, which they now very much are, to assume that, oh man, like these circumstances that they're in, what could I do about that? It's just not fair. Like, what could she do about that? That's bullshit.
Yeah, you create this story that they are a victim.
Yeah, exactly. You victimize them for them, and you rob them of opportunity. period.
Okay. Well, that ties into our next one, which is pushing someone outside of their comfort zone. The belief is that that decreases trust and it's a bad thing to do.
Yeah. This is huge. This is a terrible belief of terrible salespeople. And then, by the way, I used to have every single one of the beliefs on this list. So I'm not speaking from nothing. State it again because I want people to hear it again.
Pushing someone outside of their comfort zone decreases trust and is bad.
Nonsense. Pushing someone outside of their comfort zone is how they grow.
Yeah. We see that all the time when we're actually training clients.
When you're training them, are you going to keep them squarely within their comfort zone?
Right.
That would be a horrible thing to sign up for. Imagine a coach of any kind or a therapist of any kind charging $275 a session or whatever the hell it is. So just so you know, we are going to stay exactly where you are comfortable and familiar. Don't worry. We're not exploring anything that seems remotely uncomfortable.
Yeah. We're only going to do things that you've done up to this point.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Why would anyone sign up for that?
That's fair.
You pushing them outside of their financial comfort zone to take on a thing that they are uncomfortable taking on because it's a big change for them is your job. It's your first rep of coaching them.
I've seen the opposite of this sometimes, which I'm interested in your perspective on, where terrible salespeople, and maybe it's not like they might be good at sales, but they're doing it for the wrong reasons, are so comfortable pushing people outside of their comfort zone. But maybe that goes to the motivation of doing it.
The intent is the problem there, not their comfort pushing people outside their comfort zone. Because I'm very comfortable making people uncomfortable for them. For them. Not for me.
Got it.
I don't do it for my own entertainment or my own benefit. I do it in service because no one else is willing to. Period. The other thing to consider here is when someone has a problem, they're already experiencing a great deal of tension and discomfort around their problem. There is a tension and discomfort between the problem that they live with every day and the reality they would like to have. You refusing to push them is leaving them in their suffering every day.
That's a powerful frame.
Do you see it differently?
No, because it's the coaching conversation.
Correct.
It's the same thing that you would do if they were already a client of yours.
Look, let's say that there is this barren desert and you meet a person that is malnourished, chronically dehydrated, ill because the little water they do have is not as fresh as it needs to be, and they have a broken leg. That sucks.
Yeah.
They live in a little dust bowl, windswept shack with a donkey that they have to split their food with or whatever. It sucks. And there is a 10-mile walk to a 2,000-foot climb over a mountain, on the other side of which is all of the food, water, shelter, and community that this person needs, including all of the medical care they need. They're at their wits' end, and they're hanging thin on 20 years of living like this. Are you leaving them there, or are you pushing them to the edge of what they are willing to do to walk to the base of the mountain and then summit the mountain with you?
That's a powerful visual.
What are you doing?
Yeah. You gonna leave them in the desert to die?
I'm not. I mean, if they say, leave me here, I want to die. All right, man.
Yeah.
Okay. If they want what's on the other side of the mountain, then I'm pushing them to do it.
Okay. Next one. Terrible salespeople will say, I don't want to create a poor association with the company by pushing someone to buy and risk causing poor feelings towards the company.
This is the most recent one that I've gotten over. This one took me the longest because I love and respect way too much what everyone in Active Life, the company that I work with, has done and does on a daily basis for our customers, the public in general. And what I believed for a long time was that if I do what I believe I can do personally to push someone to the level where they take action and they're turned off by that, it poorly reflects on the company. And I didn't want to cost the company that reputation with me via extension. And ultimately what I realized is I try to uphold impeccable integrity and honesty, and I care more about my character than my reputation. And so if I'm maintaining honesty and integrity around what I'm pushing someone to do, by the way, if someone tells me I'm done with this conversation, I don't want to be here, I'm not pushing them anymore. I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye and good luck. If someone still wants to be there, I have no problem taking them further and further into their discomfort. They want to be there. I used to be afraid that doing that would reflect poorly on us, and I didn't want to cost the company that. I've since let go of that because I realized that there are a lot of people that need and want the pushing, and on the other side, everyone wins.
How do you decide when someone needs and wants the pushing? Is it just by they don't say, I'm out of here?
If they're still there for it, and you're working through a rational conversation where you're asking them questions and giving them choices at every single step, whether or not this is where they want to be and this is something that they want to be moving forward with, then you know that they want to be there. If they're not getting up and saying, I don't want this, they want to be there.
Yeah. You had mentioned the difference between character and reputation. Unpack that, because that was a flyover sentence. That was something that you just kind of glossed over that I think is really impactful for people to hear in this conversation.
Okay. My reputation is what the public is going to believe about me based on what I choose and in some cases don't choose to curate and represent for them. In other words, it's what people think of me. My character is what I think of me and what I have to live with and go to sleep with every night. My character contains my values and what I believe about how people should be treated, treat themselves, and treat each other. That is what I seek to uphold. And if me maintaining my character and my integrity leads someone to believe that I'm an asshole, I'm okay with that.
I like that. I think that's something I can see a lot of people in this space struggling with.
It took me a long time. I'm still cutting the last chords of it.
How'd you get there?
Decades of unnecessarily carrying the preoccupation of whether or not people like me. And I think that I probably 15 years ago, one chord at a time, I started cutting those, and there are a lot. It's pretty thick. But I got a few threads left, and it's great. It's the best ever. It really is the best thing ever.
Well, you're living your life for you.
Well, I'm living my life for me and everyone else, but not at my expense because I'm living it the way I think they want me to.
Yeah, you're living a life that you are inspired by.
Correct.
There's the last thing I want to touch on this one specifically is I can see sometimes when people are in these sales conversations and they identify that somebody might actually be the wrong fit for the service, but they feel bad about telling the person on the other end of the conversation that because they don't want to in any way tarnish the reputation or the perception of the company.
Oh, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. I see it as improving the reputation of the company if you tell someone that. I tell people that all the time. I keep testimonial videos of people that I have told not to buy.
Why? Why do you keep those?
Because we know many companies where people are going to say, you have a pulse and a credit card. Let's figure out what I need to do or say to get you to buy. And it's very easy to post testimonials of how great you are so that people say, I guess I should buy this. I keep testimonial videos of people that I told not to buy so that someone understands that they're not getting on a call with me so that they could defend themselves from being sold no matter what. They're getting on a call with me where I might tell them, you should not do this. You should do that. You're looking for that.
That's a great frame to go into any sort of discovery conversation with.
Yeah.
Okay. We have quite a few things. We'll recap the list Anything else that comes up?
No, restate them. Beliefs and behaviors of terrible salespeople.
Number one, money is finite. It's a finite resource.
Mm-hmm.
2, you don't believe in the 4 pillars. You, the salesperson, don't believe in the 4 pillars of the business. Yourself, the company, the plan, their commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, you don't believe in the cost-value discrepancy.
Mm.
Number 4, you prioritize your needs over the prospects.
And that includes having commission breath.
That includes having commission breath. 5, poor people are poor because of external circumstances.
Helpless, powerless, nothing they can do.
Victims. 6, pushing someone outside of their comfort zone decreases trust and is bad. 7, I don't want to create a poor association to the company by pushing someone to buy and risk causing poor feelings towards the company.
Mm-hmm. I think those are beliefs and behaviors of terrible salespeople.
We're going to do a follow-up episode with the beliefs and behaviors of world-class salespeople.
Mm-hmm. Good job, Cody. Thank you for that.
Good job. Remember, if you enjoyed, I know you did, like, subscribe, share. It's a cost of admission.
It's helpful. Thank you, guys.
See you out there.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Active Life podcast. If you did, please head to wherever you listen and leave us that 5-star rating. It really does go a long way. 5 stars goes a long way. Please leave them. If you're interested in working with us as a coach, remember, we help coaches from around the world build fulfilling careers, working with clients they're inspired to help so they never have to worry about being able to pay your bills again. No one's ever going to ask you if you are going to get a real job when you work with Active Life. All you have to do, head into the show notes, click the link that you find there, download our curriculum. That will give you a feel for what it is going to take for you to be successful. A team member of ours will reach out to you to find out if it's a fit for us to work together. Till the next show, turn pro.